Hello, welcome to Kids Kingdom Sunday School. I'm Brianna. I'll be going through our lesson today, and we'll have a Bible verse, a story, and then some questions at the end. Our story is about a very important person, an important woman in the community back in Jesus' time, and we're going to learn a little bit about how important it is to be a part of community and how you can spread God's love by the way that you treat others in your community. So first I'm going to talk about our faith word of the month. If you saw the video from last week, you might remember what the faith word is, but for this month we're all talking about love. So whether it is God's love or your love for other people, basically we're going to be talking about how to spread the love. So just keep that in mind and try to remember that for next week too. Also, you can try to memorize our memory verse. So it's really quick and easy. This memory verse comes from the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 10a. So it says, love each other like the members of your family. So simple, quick to remember, love each other as the members of your family. Our main lesson for today is about a woman named Tabitha. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background. So Tabitha lived during the time just after Jesus had died and rose again, from Easter. And the disciples were traveling around. They were creating new disciples, and they were building up these communities of faith. And so there are new Christian communities that were living together. Our character, Tabitha, the main woman in this story, she was a widow, so her husband had passed away, and she no longer had her land for herself, and she had to find another way to provide for herself. So she used her skills in creating clothing, and so she worked with fabric, and she would make clothes or any other type of fabric for the home or whatever people needed. And even though she didn't have much for herself, she found ways to help other people that were even less fortunate than her. So she was very much loved and appreciated by the community because she was a helper. She helped out and she made a lot of things for a lot of people. I think, she could be considered like a super helper, and as you listen to the story, I want you to think about who in your life do you know who's super helpful like that. Let's find out what happened to Tabitha because you might be surprised. I'm going to be reading out of the book of Acts, and if you want to grab your Bible, you can follow along. Peter in Lydda and Joppa. So the town is called Joppa. Now in Joppa there was a disciple whose name was Tabitha, which in Greek is Dorcas. She was devoted to good works and acts of charity. At that time she became ill and died. When they had washed her, they laid her in a room upstairs. Since Lydda was near Joppa, the disciples, who heard that Peter was there, sent 2 men to him with the request, "Please come to us without delay." So Peter got up and went with them, and when he arrived, they took him to the room upstairs. All the widows stood beside him, weeping and showing tunics and other clothing that Dorcas had made while she was with them. Peter put all of them outside, and then he knelt down and prayed. He turned to the body and said, "Tabitha, get up." Then she opened her eyes, and seeing Peter, she sat up. He gave her his hand and helped her up. Then calling the saints and widows, he showed her to be alive. This became known throughout Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. Meanwhile, he stayed in Joppa for some time with a certain Simon, a tanner. So Okay, so a lot just happened there, and I bet you weren't expecting that type of story. Having a whole miracle happen with Tabitha dying and then coming back to life. So let me just break it down a little bit more. So Tabitha was very devoted to her community and doing acts of charity. And like I said, she made clothing and everything for other people. But she suddenly became ill and died. And the community was so sad and so upset because they loved her so much. They didn't know what to do, and they had to do something, you know, like in this scenario. They didn't want to lose her, basically. So since Peter, he was one of the disciples, he was in a nearby town, which was called Lydda. And so he was nearby, and they heard about that, and they knew that Peter, you know, he had traveled with Jesus, and he knew God very well, and they trusted him. So they ran over to this other town, and they asked Peter to come and help them and to visit her. And so you know, they brought him into the room and they showed him all of the clothes that she had made and like told him all the things that she had done for the community. And so he took that all in, and then he told them, you know, leave the room, I need some time to pray. So he closed the door, he got quiet, and he sat and prayed. And then he was able to tell Tabitha to get up, and she did. It was a miracle. So she rose from the dead, and she got up off the bed, and he said, hey, look, she's alive now, and everyone was overjoyed. So it's a pretty incredible story. The main thing that I want you to focus on is how much she helped her community and how much the community loved her back, and why that is so important. I have a couple wonder questions here for you. First question is, who do you know that is always doing things for other people? The second wonder question is, what do they do to help others? The third wonder question is, what kinds of things have you made for others to show them how you love them? And the fourth wonder question is, why is it important to help those in need? Well, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you have a great week, and I hope you remember Tabitha's story and can think about how to be a helpful person in the community and show God's love through being helpful. So a couple reminders. Don't forget to pick up your craft packet, your Sunday school packet from the front porch of the church if you haven't already. Have fun doing the craft for this week, and then if you want to share any photos of your craft, or if you have any questions or comments for us, please be sure to go to our Facebook page or shoot an email over to Sarah. I hope you have a good week, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.